I've had to let my belt out.
Oh,
no.
I think there's a financial fair play issue that they've got to deal with.
Yeah, I'm next to the other 117.
Yeah, quite.
Welcome to Lose to Win, the podcast with myself, Jack, Josh and Ben. Chaps, how are we doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Good.
Very well. Merry and happy
Great
New
to
Year.
be back, isn't it? Great to be back.
Yeah, it is. It is good to be back. Actually, I was surprised how much I missed this on some level. Maybe not the editing part, but I missed the I missed the recording.
Missed the bands.
It's a bit of therapy for us all, isn't it? as well?
Definitely.
Yeah.
How has everybody's Christmas been?
Joshua, you go first.
Oh yeah, it's been good. Quite quiet, I would say. Usually have massive family affairs this year. Everyone's doing their own thing. You get to that stage where people have got their own lives, their partners, etc. They've got their own thing. My sister's in New Zealand for Christmas.
Nice.
Ooh,
She doesn't pack yet, so she's been away for a
So she
month.
celebrated it literally 12 hours before you then?
Yeah.
And on the beach.
Yeah, we got a New Year's message. Yeah, obviously a good 12 hours before everyone else. Yeah, so no, she's obviously loving it, and yeah, we've just been a bit spread out this year, so that's not a bad thing. Just means I've been slightly quieter and hopefully slightly less kind of full of sweets and chocolates and various other things, because I just haven't had them around. How about you guys?
Yeah, go on, Ben. For you far away, mate. How's yours been?
I've had a lovely time, thank you. I've had family down most of the time. We've had my mother-in-law and my mother over the entire sort of two and a half week period, so it's been pretty full on. But the kids have had a great time. I'm not going to lie, I've eaten way too much food. Kids, sweets, chocolates, etc. But you know, that's what Christmas is all about, isn't it? It's all about having a bit of fun, letting your hair down. So yes, I have indulged, but looking forward to getting back on the wagon for 2024. I think it'll be a good year, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
And myself, mine was a little bit hectic and all over the place. Unfortunately, my son was poorly on Christmas Eve. We actually went out for dinner, as it's my wife and my kind of unofficial anniversary, not when we got married, but when we first met.
Yeah.
And normally we leave the kids behind, somebody else has them, but they're at the age now at 10 and 8 that we thought maybe they'd like to join us and we'd have a civilised meal.
Nice.
And unfortunately, within probably about 15 minutes before we'd eaten any food, my son redecorated the restaurant toilet. Poor lad, out of nowhere. So that kind of put the mockers on that. And then Christmas evening, my daughter rocketed up with like a 40-degree temperature and was literally like all dizzy and like staring through us and all over the place. So, and she went back to school yesterday, and she still hasn't stopped coughing from Christmas Day, basically. Really, really nasty cough. Temperature's now kind of stabilised, but everything's been a bit here, there and everywhere. So yeah, it's a welcome relief to get back into a routine, and I think I've certainly have indulged and probably eaten more than I planned to, but at the same time I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm looking forward to getting back into it, and I've very quickly realised how important routine is for me.
Yeah, me too.
It's put things into perspective. My mum's literally just retired from the NHS, and it's kind of like her first couple of days where everybody's kind of back to work now and everything's starting to be a bit normal again, and I think it's starting to dawn on her that she is now retired and she doesn't have somewhere to go to Monday morning, if that makes sense. And I feel for her because it's quite daunting, and I think the whole not being in a routine is relatively daunting for me too.
Yeah, I agree, man. Routine is definitely a factor, because I've been off. I mean, I took a few days time off in lieu before Christmas because the kids broke up early this year, so they were off like the week before. So I took a few days off work, and then of course uni was closed for the whole of Christmas anyway, so I didn't actually go back to work till, when did I go back to work? Tuesday? No, Wednesday. I didn't go back to work till Wednesday, so I've been off for like 2.5 weeks, and especially from an eating point of view, and over Christmas, you eat more when you're not in a routine anyway, because you kind of pick and this and that, and then throw all the extra goodies in as well, then it makes it quite difficult. So yeah, it's definitely it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You're having a nice time because you got a bit of time off, but you miss the routine and sticking to that kind of plan. But hey ho, it is what it is. I'm not going to beat myself up either, mate. It's no point. It's it's a journey and it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So there will be ups, there will be downs, and you're entitled to enjoy yourself. And if that means a few extra drinks or a few mince pies or whatever, then hey ho, then just crack on from now on in.
Absolutely. I don't know if either of you noticed any sort of changes within your body having eaten so much shit for so long, but I started to get like acidy reflux, almost to the point where I was considering getting some Gaviscon or something because it was really quite painful. And I guess when you have like 6 beige buffets back to back, it kind of does have its impact, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, definitely, mate. My skin, I react quite. I mean, I don't know. I think I've told you about this, but I think we've talked about it before about my intolerances that I've discovered when I went on the FODMAP diet. But I've kind of slacked off a little bit and I ate a few things I probably shouldn't eat, like gluten and onion and garlic and stuff, which I'm not supposed to eat. Obviously, with all the festive treats, those things kind of creep in a little bit. It's not like I'm allergic to them, but I'm intolerant to them, so they do have side effects. And yeah, I've had a bit of a problem with my skin. I've had sort of outbreak, which has not been nice. But also, I've had to let my belt out by a notch.
Oh, Benjamin!
Oh no!
And I haven't got that far.
Do you know what? I for the 2 years we've been doing it, my belt has gradually got less and less. But this is the first time I've had to let it out by one, which is quite unnerving, actually. So I'm hoping to reverse that fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. All the hard work you've put in previously and what you've learned about yourself and the journey that you can go on, I'm sure you can turn that sort of thing around. And I think I was thinking earlier as I was driving home about kind of the role that you in particular play for me personally, but also for this podcast and for Josh and for the club, is somebody that's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, is able to pass that wisdom on. And I think that's your role for me, selfishly, if that makes sense, to kind of like use it as a bit of a sounding board, listen to what you have to say.
Go, oh God, Ben's done that, it's all right.
Learn from the guru, yeah. So basically, anybody from Man v Fat Bournemouth, whatever Ben's put on, if you don't go over that, you're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
Fair shout. Yeah, fair shout. I do feel quite guilty though. Do you know what? It's the first time I felt like bad about it, which is weird because I've always taken it kind of in my stride before, but I feel like I've dropped the ball a little bit. Which is disappointing for me, but I think I do hold myself at quite high standards, and I do feel like I have a bit of that responsibility, like you've just said, Jack. Maybe a bit misplaced, I don't know, but I do, because I have done certain things, and so when I do drop the ball, I do take it personally and think, oh Christ, what have I done? But we're all human, aren't we? I mean,
yeah. It's music to the ears of the Purples. We're playing you on Friday, mate.
You're pretty safe, mate. I'm fairly sure you got an OG from me anyway. So yeah,
we'll see.
It's funny you should say about responsibility, because obviously for me it's the captaincy stuff. I'm not sure if you feel the same, guys, but it's the leading by example rather than just. And I have to admit, I have struggled, and the Blacks will be the first people to tell you that I probably haven't led by the example I would like to have led by. We'd all love to lose weight every single week and just keep striving on and being there all the time and just being consistent. But we know that's not always going to be possible all the time. But even so, there's a level, isn't there? Well, if you creep below what you perceive your level should be, I feel a bit like
it's tough. I did actually message my group. I messaged the Blues earlier and said, look, I'm sorry guys, this has happened. It's not exactly a captain's performance, but I promise I'm getting back on the wagon and it'll be a good year going forward. So hopefully they'll go, that's cool. I'm very lucky in the fact I've got a really good vice captain in Ollie, who's just kind of smashing it at the moment, and he's actually hoping to have been down after the Christmas period as well. So he's helping me as well. So we're quite a good team together. So
how did you manage in the group chat? So I kind of gave everybody the wide berth that I kind of would have liked over the Christmas period. I kind of said Merry Christmas, whatever. There wasn't a lot of engagement, but kind of when that moment clicked over, and it was the 2nd of Jan, a couple of days ago, it was kind of like, right,
here we
lose
go.
On Friday, 8:30. Who's up for it? How's everybody doing? Where are we with everything? Welcome the new guy in today as well, which is really good. Were you both the same, or was it quite active in the chats?
No, we were. I mean, we had a few messages over Christmas, but from the kind of weight loss point of view, I think it's important to give everyone a rest. It's time to enjoy with your family and friends, and while it's good to stay in touch and wish everyone a happy New Year and happy Christmas, etc., you also got to give people a bit of space. So our chat was fairly quiet, but a bit similar to you, Jack. I mean, as soon as New Year kind of kicked over, it was like, okay, we're back in this week, who's up for it, etc., etc. So I think for the most part, I would expect most of the groups to be a bit like that, really. Maybe not the Greens, because they're so impassioned at the moment.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm actually genuinely invested in finding out how Tim and Rav have done. Like, genuinely invested as to how those two have done.
Yeah,
and the Greens in general, because I suspect they've probably hammered it as well, like even over Christmas. So that'll be genuinely interesting.
Who are Greens playing on Friday? Who's the unlucky team?
Who have you got, Josh? Because we can probably narrow it down between that.
Well, we've got the Reds. So the Greens will have the Oranges.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's a tough one then. That's top of the table, isn't it? Oranges and Greens.
Yes, it is top of the table. Yeah.
That'd be an interesting
one. So that'll be a good one. Just quickly, lads, going back to what you were saying, Jack, about differences over Christmas. For me, it's the energy difference.
Yes.
I found. So that's the biggest thing. To be fair, I've been quite lucky. I didn't fall into like any acid reflux or anything the other end, dare I say. But it's the energy I found. Maybe it's the lack of football or the just sitting around doing not much, I guess.
That's it. I think my calendar was relatively clear, so not having anything to do made me relatively...
Yeah.
I got a few sneaky naps in, that sort of thing.
The weather's been rubbish as well, though. Yeah. So no one's wanting to go out anywhere. I mean, normally you go for a few walks and stuff, don't you, during the holiday break? But we've not really left the house that much because the weather's been so bad.
So shit, isn't it?
So that's
anything else, Josh? Any other changes?
To be fair, nothing specific. Actually, I've been okay. As I say, my eating apart from around. I mean, the week before Christmas was pretty bad. But and I was staying at my sister's to cat sit for most of the time while she was away, so that was just a different change, So it was one of these like where my diet suffered because it's not the same routine. It's silly. It's a silly thing. Like, it's not my house, so I'm like there as a guest.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, do I buy in all this stuff for me to eat, only for me not to be here in 2 days' time or however many it is? So. Yeah, but nothing physically too much. I haven't noticed anything different, I guess. Good. Just being more lethargic.
Yeah.
So, just found sleeping. Like, I slept more. I slept much longer. I slept much deeper. I don't know if that's a recovery thing or...
Well, it probably is. It's when you just take a bit of time off, isn't it? Your body kind of relaxes a bit.
Yeah, but that made me even more tired. So, I guess I ached a little more. I don't know, because of that.
Yeah, maybe
not stretching as much.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Should we have a little dive into the last session that we had just before Christmas, and we'll start looking at some of the comments from the Facebook community that got in touch this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did actually shave a few more pounds just the week before Christmas, but it wasn't a stunning performance, let's just say. As a league, we lost 2.4 kilos that week. Okay. Modest progress in normal times, but okay, I guess it's quite impressive considering it's the last week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
As ever, there were teams and individuals who raised their game well above the norm, and there were plenty of us to celebrate in. There was plenty of us to celebrate for this season anyway. So generally, we've been doing pretty good. The results were as follows. So the Reds lost a quite tight one, 7-6 to the Oranges. The Greens, another hammering, unfortunately, of your Blues, Ben.
Yeah.
18-9.
Mad,
Whites won their first game of the season. 8-5 to us Blacks. Yeah. and the Yellows won 9-8 against your Purples. Jack.
Yeah.
The Green machine, as we were talking about, kind of rolls on, kind of steamrolling, all who get in their way really, and shredding waistlines as well as they go. So your reigning champions Blues, you kind of rose to the challenge really, losing 5.1 kilos as a whole, as a team.
Good lads.
Registering a milestone and getting three men into the team of the week.
Yeah.
When we'll get there.
I can't take any credit for this, by the way. I wasn't there.
But it wasn't enough, unfortunately.
No.
8 greens weighed in, and they all lost weight. Again.
Well done, lads.
6.7 kilos collectively. 4 of them completed hat-tricks. 2 completed milestones. So that's kind of where it went then, I guess. At least the Blues have a pitch victory to show for your efforts in the end. Elsewhere, Oranges and Yellows edged out Reds and Purples by a single goal apiece, while Whites enjoyed their first win, as we mentioned, against us Blacks. So just a quick recap of the table, because we don't do this very often. Greens are at the top with 16 points from 9 games. Well, so they've all played 9.
Yeah.
Is that 9? Yeah, 9 is correct. Oranges second with 14, then behind the Blues with 11, then Purples with 10, Reds with 8, Blacks with 6, Yellows with 5, and then Whites at the bottom with 2. It's quite spread out isn't it, really? I've just noticed. Couple of points gap almost everywhere.
Yeah.
11 hat-tricks there
Very
were
good.
that week. And a new record haul of milestones. 6 milestones we had the week before Christmas, which is kind of mega.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing, really. The milestone men are kind of a healthy mix of relative newcomers making great strides towards their personal goals, and Man v Fat veterans continuing to hunt down their long-term goals. So Chris Gailey, Alex Jones, Scott Hardy and Phil Haley all got off the mark with their 5%.
Well done.
George O'Callaghan joins the 15% club.
Yeah, well done, Georgie.
And Dimmy continues his excellent run of form, and he's now reached the 20% club.
Yeah, fair play.
Having lost more than 30 kilos since starting out on his journey.
Amazing work, Dimmy.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Him and George, especially this last couple of weeks running up to Christmas. I know Tim is in there as well, and Rav. But yeah, there's just so much consistency built within it, and it's the whole consistency builds success.
Yeah.
And it really makes a difference. It really it's paying off, isn't it, for them? So fair play, gents. Well done.
So huge congratulations to all of the people mentioned, and a fantastic way to finish the year. Generally for them, I mean,
brilliant.
For us as a league, we finished quite well, I must say. There weren't any last man standing goals, kind of because impressively consistent display for the remaining field. Only one grey sweep was cashed in, and one player, a non-attender, was knocked out. So all of the other contenders were present, correct, and at least slightly lighter than the week before. Goal scoring opportunities abound for any of them who can successfully navigate, or who have successfully navigated this Christmas period without derailing their progress. So we'll be able to see when they come in for those bonus goals.
Yeah, it'll be interesting one this week. Yeah.
Yeah. The team of the week for the last one of the last year. So Nick Copeland led the team of the week with 2.2 kilos. Yeah.
Brilliant.
One of 3 Blues to make the list, as we mentioned. George O'Callaghan is the only survivor from the week before. An astonishing 3 weeks in a row he had, as you mentioned, Jack, back-to-back results. He's made the top team. So Nick Copeland was at the top with 2.2 kilos. George was second with 1.8. Mark Coffin with 1.8. Billy Greenwood, who's now back after a long-term injury, with 1.7.
Well done, Billy.
Ian Wood with 1.4. And Ryan Putic with 1.4.
Well done, Ryan.
Yeah, good work.
That's it for the team of the week. We're back this Friday. So some new players slotting into some teams as well.
Yes, exciting times.
Kind of a...
So we've had a few come in, haven't we, over the
new
year? How many? Yeah. 5? Is it 5 new players coming in?
Yeah, 5. I think 2 or 3 of them are returners.
Okay,
from what I can remember.
But that's good.
With another couple on the horizon I know are going to come back. I just don't know if it's going to be the end of the season or in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But as we've kind of mentioned, this is the time of the year, isn't it? People get antsy to lose some weight and better themselves. And
definitely.
I can't think of a better thing for people to join Man v Fat.
No, I agree
over
with you.
joining a gym, for example. So for me, it's the community part. If you go to a gym, you're running on a treadmill. I know that's the boring saying, you're running on a treadmill. There are other things to do in a gym, but you're kind of there on your own. It's your own prerogative to keep going and motivate yourself. Yeah. And I find that the community does a lot of that for you.
Definitely.
because there's people around you being successful, and that can motivate you. There's people who can just put your hands on your shoulders, hands around your shoulder, kind of give you G you up as such.
Yeah.
If you feel like and that's a motivation in itself. Then there's the team aspect, which is a huge motivation for some. So I just think in general, overall, a community thing, such as Man v Fat, is probably in the long run going to give you more results.
I totally agree. And I would say to anyone listening who's got friends, family who are in the same boat as us, get them down, get them joining in.
Yeah, absolutely. I still maintain it's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm with you there, mate.
So, yeah.
The big thing with it as well is that, I don't know if you've both done it, I've done the whole gym thing with a mate, generally just with one buddy, and it's obviously good to do it with a buddy, but the moment one of you flake and can't turn up, it goes to rat shit.
Yeah.
The difference being is that you've got 60 odd other fellas at Man v Fat that you can almost guarantee are going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
I heard on the radio, I think it was on the news today, they were saying about the influx of people signing up for gyms and the percentage. Did you two want to guess at what percentage of people that sign up in January are still going to the gym? They're still paying for it, but they're still going to the gym by March.
By March, what percentage is still going?
Oh, God, it's going to be minuscule, isn't it?
And when they say going, it's once a week.
I don't know, 20%?
Oh,
less.
No. It won't be as much as 20%.
It's definitely less than 20%.
Yeah, I reckon it's like 6%.
In between, it's 12.
12%.
12%.
Okay.
That's bonkers, isn't
It's
it?
still going. So January is like the gyms build up to Christmas, isn't it?
They must love it
for their money.
Yeah, they must love it every year.
Influx of new people. It must be so difficult to kind of like staff a gym properly, because you think like if you're basing it on January's numbers, you need loads of people there. But how do you keep those people in a job for the rest of the year? What are they doing? So yeah, I thought that was quite poignant. But and that definitely plays in the hands of, if you think of how many people would still be hanging around in March if you do the Man v Fat, it's a big difference.
Yeah, huge.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that's 80-90%.
I would think so.
At least from my experience. I mean, I've been here over a year now, so it was October 22.
Yeah.
November 22. So I went through the Christmas period out the other side.
The World Cup and Christmas period, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. And I don't remember there being a significant drop in people. I could be wrong. People come and go, obviously. But I would be quite interested to find out what percentage of people are still here from last January.
Yeah. It'll be a lot higher than 12%, do you think?
Yes, it will definitely be a lot higher than 12%.
Because of the model of how it works, we tend to lose a few at the end of a season and gain a few at the start of a season. That's kind of how it works. I mean, obviously we'll pick up some in January because it's a weight loss program, and that's ultimately when weight loss programs pick new people up. But because of the way that we work on the sort of 14-week rotation, I think that's when we tend to lose a few people, because people will generally play to the end of the season, won't they? As a rule, if they are thinking about leaving and then come back at the start of a new season. I think so. Yeah, I think it would be interesting, but definitely people who sign up and stay signed up, I would go with at least 90%, at least over 12% in the gym. I mean, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? And you're absolutely right about what you say, that it's about the community and it's about the support network. It's not necessarily about the running around on the pitch or the weight loss. It's about the support and everyone's individual journey and feeling that they belong, most importantly, because I've personally experienced walking into a gym and wanting to walk straight back out again because of the way that you're kind of received into it, and it's just awful. It's a horrible place to be. I mean, some people don't, some people enjoy that environment, that's fine, each to their own, but it wasn't for me at all.
No.
Yeah, I do have huge respect for those people who can walk into a gym, headphones on, head down, and just have the motivation to do it themselves without any, and consistently keep doing that. I think that's brilliant. But I've never been one of those people.
No, nor me.
I'm happy to do it for a short period of time, and if the mood strikes me, I'm fine. Usually if I'm in a bad mood, if I'm honest.
Right.
But generally speaking, because I'm not often in a bad mood, I want to have people around me, a community, and a gym. It's just, while, as you say, you can buddy up, as you say, if one of you flakes or not, it becomes you're relying on one person, whereas in a community, you've got, as you say, 60 other people you can rely on. So
Yeah.
And also for me, it's the team sport element in football. Obviously, I love football, so I just think the team sport aspect for me, I enjoy it more than say running on a treadmill.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes a big difference. Based on you mentioned about the community, it kind of tethers in quite nicely to kind of what we posted on Facebook in the week about basically the similar conversation we've already started having. How did we get on over Christmas? How have we coped? How are we feeling? Who's dreading coming back? That sort of thing. So we kind of opened it up to the community, and as always, the amazing community that is, not just the Bournemouth community, but the wider community, have got back in touch and got a few comments that we read out, and we kind of get our opinions on it. And kudos to some of the really good stuff, and also there's really people kind of being very, very honest and saying it's not been very good, but there's others gathering around them saying, draw a line under it, move on. You've enjoyed yourself. You've not done something bad. You're not committed a crime. You've got to understand that, and you spend more time beating yourself up about it, you end up in a bit of a spiral, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So we've got first up Andy Hazeldine. I don't think he's any relation to our Seb. I lost weight 12 weeks in a row prior to Christmas, totally dreading the post-Christmas weigh-in, but back in the zone with gym and food. So first things first, incredible to be losing 12 weeks up until Christmas.
12 weeks, amazing, yeah.
That hard work that you've done there has already planted the seed, and your body is ready to shed again, isn't it? Your body's ready, understands what you're about to put it through again with your, I wouldn't even call it a diet, just that change of routine. It's you've primed yourself well for it. I think if you'd smashed it for 12 weeks the wrong way up until Christmas, and then suddenly you're doing it, I think you're in a much different place, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, with 12 weeks, you can be pretty confident you can get back into that. You've done it successfully for 12 weeks. I think you would have very good confidence you can do it again and be back on it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as you say, a little bit of indulgence over Christmas is not going to derail 12 fantastic weeks of progress.
No, because that's where it becomes about the mentality of it, isn't it? That's where we constantly talk about. It's about the consistency and the changes that you make to your lifestyle, which make the biggest differences. So the fact you're able to do that for 12 weeks and then have a couple of weeks off, you'll get back on the wagon, no problem at all, because you've already made those initial changes. So just getting back into that swing of it, back into that routine, definitely.
Yeah. So next up, we've got Alan Clark. So Alan says that he braved the scales today. His last league game before Christmas was on the 11th of December, bar a friendly that they had on the 18th. So 4 weeks with Christmas and New Year, I was pleased to see that I've only gained a grand total of 0.4 kg, which I can shift in a week.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed Christmas, drinking and eating crap, but back on it now. I'm happy I've not put loads on, and
brilliant.
That's exactly what I think a lot of people needed to see. That sort of comment, if you've looked through it, that sort of thing can happen. You can enjoy yourself. You can take that time away. I won't read Steve Couch's, our coach's comment out. Not for any reason, but more importantly, what he said is, I'm pretty sure he said that he started Christmas later than he normally would and finished it quicker.
Yeah.
So that's the good thing about it. If you have had, like Alan just mentioned, near on 4 weeks, 4 weeks of eating crap, you've not done yourself any favours, but a week and a half, 2 of that, you're okay, I think. I think as he's proven with that, we're all different. But as he's proven with that, it's doable.
Yeah.
Who else we've got? We've got Super Ryan Puttick from Bournemouth. So Ryan says that I've tried to be as good as possible up until Christmas. However, Christmas hit hard. I tried my best during a couple of weeks before Christmas to the Christmas break to get as far into a healthy BMI section as I could. So as long as I'm there, I'm happy, and it gives me something to work back down to.
Yeah.
Happy New Year to all. So
bless him.
Ryan's always super positive with it and an inspiration to a lot of us with it.
Yeah.
And he's done exactly what we'd expect him to do, to be completely honest.
Well,
I think we've got the advantage of knowing him well.
Yeah, he was in the team of the week on the last weigh-in, so he's clearly been working hard. So let your hair down for a week too, mate. Fair play. He'll be back on it.
We've also got Paul. I'm going to butcher his surname, so I'm not even going to bother. If you're Paul and you're listening, you know what it is. So after losing weight consistently since April, I made the conscious decision to fully embrace Christmas, and I did. Now fully focused on removing the excess pounds I've gained and getting down to that maintenance weight by the end of the season. Let's go. So that's also, they're all very similar comments, and it's really positive to hear, because before putting that up, I was admittedly, the reason why I posted that as well is that there was a level of dread that I certainly had around going back and what I was going to do and how badly I've done. But do you know what? I've not jumped on the scales, and I don't intend on jumping on the scales. It is what it is tomorrow, and we go from there. I think that's the important thing. Whatever I've done and not done, it's far too late to change anything.
I'm with you there, Jack. I'm with you there, buddy. We'll go and weigh in together, mate.
Hold hands. Yeah. That'd be a shock if we're both on it, wouldn't it? Fucking hell.
Just join the weights together and split it, and then you'll see, and then each individually take that weight. Obviously, unfortunately,
I feel sorry.
One of you would have put on, and one of you would have lost.
Yeah, all right.
I think I'm two of Ben at the moment.
You're not that bad.
And then a few others. I will just go through some of these. So Craig's one that's been quite vocal in. So again, Craig from Bournemouth, he's been quite vocal in our group. I know he was relatively disappointed with the results, and I think Craig and I are very similar with it. I think we could both just look at a cream cake and put on a stone. And he certainly is much like me, where he wears his heart on his sleeve. So Craig's written, so I braved the scales on the first and was a little taken back by how much it looks like I've gained. But with the Bournemouth way, not until Friday, I'm doing my utmost to minimise the gains, feeling good for 24 and hope to see regular losses. Happy New Year to all. So I think he's in a similar situation that's how a lot of us are feeling, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think that's normal though. I think I wouldn't know what it's like across the country, but I can imagine a lot of people in our league, I don't know, maybe 60, 70%, maybe more than that, are probably dreading getting on the scale. Well, say dreading, kind of just accepting when they get on the scales that what it is, you know, what it will be, and it's just from there you work from a new starting point. It's essentially for the new year.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a good way to look at it on some level. Obviously, there's an element of people can look back and go, oh, I could have done this, but it's done now. So we'll just get there on Friday. Don't worry about it for now. Get on the scale, see where you are, and then just work back from there, essentially.
Mate. And the key is to turn up on Friday. Don't think, oh God, I've really overdone it at Christmas. I'm not going to go and weigh in this week because I'm embarrassed. I don't want to let the team down. I think you just got to own it. I think you've got to go, do you know what? I've done it. I've had a great time. I'm going to own this. Okay, I've put on a couple of kilos, whatever. I'm going to get back on it and we'll start again and crack on. That's the most important thing, because otherwise it's a bit like Jack said before, it can spiral and you can go, do you know what? I've let myself go. Oh, there's no point anymore. I'll just crack on and keep going, doing what I'm doing. And then, of course, it gets worse and you just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then you end up where you were back at the beginning. So it is about that. Just don't worry about it. Own it. You've enjoyed it. Forget about it. Start again.
Draw a line.
Yeah. I think also people just have to remember, you, especially as you've got the community around you, you won't be the only one.
Oh God, no!
You'll be one. No, you'll be in the majority, not the minority.
Definitely,
people when they turn up, and so.
And I think that's also
a little comforting.
Anyone who's managed to lose some weight over Christmas, because it's not easy. Not easy at all.
There's a perfect comment that we'll finish this little section off with that Carl Gareth put in here. So a lot of guys will be in the same boat, pal. So as we're just saying, if it hurts, use this to fuel your motivation and smash the fuck out of 2024. I'm well and truly ready to get going. I've set a target for 4 stone for July, and I'm hoping to elevate the whole league. Elevate the Hull League, with a few others getting more involved in the local community. Physically, I want the babes at the beach to be flocking round me and have the same confidence as a guy in Southern Comfort advert. So I absolutely love that. And
I love that comment,
He's put such a good spin on it. And that is, if anybody is listening that doesn't do Man v Fat and is considering it, there is a perfect example. You ain't going to get Carl talking about how he wants the babes to flock around him at the beach, at the gym.
No.
You're going to get somebody that wants to talk to you about how much creatine and protein they've taken over the last 24 hours and how tiny their dick is now from all the steroids they've taken. You don't get that in Man Be Fat. It's all real shit.
Yeah, man.
I'll hold my hands up and say, completely honest, that's the type of conversations we have. Nothing about anything else.
Totally there, mate.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Right,
amazing.
Should we jump into? There's been an awful lot of football since we last spoke, and
Yes.
there's a few kind of headline points. A few bits and pieces have happened. I can't remember if Sheffield United sacked their manager before or after we broke up, but there's been obviously a managerial casualty in the Premiership. Wayne Rooney's come and gone. What feels like probably since we did the last one. I don't think he's covered himself in a great deal of glory. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I love to talk about Arsenal, is how shit we've been recently.
Well, I would just say quickly on that is that I would rather just say I'd like to reframe it. And while Arsenal may have been poor, just think about how close it is at the top of the league and how competitive it is.
Yeah.
But yes, okay, Arsenal have been dismal.
For Ben in QPR or Man United as the mid-table mandem. It's going to be great for you guys to watch, isn't it? You're not going to have any involvement in that at all.
No, correct. We're fighting a relegation battle, mate. So
yeah. But on the Arsenal thing, very quickly, and I don't want it to turn into bloody talk Arsenal, but what kills me is I watched on Boxing Day Bournemouth absolutely dismantle Fulham, and I know that they were without Raul Jimenez, who's a big part of how they've progressed as a team very recently.
Mm-hmm.
But Bournemouth absolutely smashed them. I was so confident going in against Fulham. It was ridiculous. I also saw Liverpool dismantle West Ham in the Cup. And I thought, West Ham are shit. We'll win that. And we go and lose both of them. Scoring 1 goal, conceding 5. And up until playing West Ham, we hadn't lost the London Derby. I don't think we lost 1 last season. Maybe it was just 1. But we hadn't lost at London Derby for a long time. And we go lose back to back. So,
I thought they were really off the boil. I watched them the other day, and I don't know what Saka was doing, but he was all over the place. He couldn't do anything. He was misplacing passes. His shots were dreadful. He was just wandering around. It was weird, but it wasn't just him. It was like the whole team were like just off. And I didn't quite get that. I didn't understand that.
I think for too long, we have won too many games by just a goal. If you think Luton, I think Fulham, the first game against them, we won by a goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too close too often, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think now it's catching up with you. You can't continue to play like that for the whole of the season.
Yeah, ridding your luck a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's caught up with us. I think the front 4, including Odegaard, are just miles off it. They're just not. And I think miles off it based on how good they were last season, which was really high standards. I get that, but it's just been so inconsistent and so poor defensively up until these games against West Ham and Fulham. We were up there as, I think, probably with Liverpool as the best 2 defences in the league, I think, when we played them over Christmas. And that's just gone to rat shit as well. Like, the one thing that we could rely on was we weren't scoring many goals. I think we're like something like 16th or 17th highest goal scorers of the league at the moment, which is just nowhere near where you need to be to win the league. So, and what the final bit that really puts the fear into me about it, and I'm confident to write off Arsenal winning the league this year, De Bruyne returning, Haaland returning.
Yeah.
I appreciate that Salah's off to the Asia Cup. Or was it AFCON? Sorry, he's AFCON, isn't he?
Yeah.
But they've got, look at their XG the other night was like the highest in the Premier League record.
But you get Diaz and Jota in there as well, and Darwin.
If you could get Diaz scoring, or actually looking like he is going to score, then they are flying and they will continue to fly. So, it's just I could spend. It could turn into an Arsenal podcast, and I don't want it to. But that's my team and how I've been on a team that we all 3 of us have an interest in. 2 of us more keenly than another is how well Bournemouth have done, I think, over the festive period and how well they played.
Well, just quickly before we get there, Joe, I think it's just how teams have been able to handle the Christmas break in terms of, not break, sorry, how many fixtures are thrown at them. I know because early on in the season, there isn't weekend, midweek like there is over a Christmas period, is there? And I think some teams just handle that better. I don't think it's time to really think that Arsenal are in the dumps, because I think there's a break now until the 20th of January, the next Prem fixture is.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a case of, once you get back to kind of once a week in the coming couple of months, I think people like Arsenal will start picking it up again, and we'll see. It will shake out again differently, and we'll be saying something different in 2 months' time, maybe.
As easy as it is to go 5 games with only getting 1 win, it's easy enough, and Arsenal more than capable of going 5 consecutive games winning, and that changes the landscape entirely, doesn't it? So it's we'll see. It's a moment in time.
Yeah, I will just say, to counterbalance that, all the other teams in the league have had to deal with the same. Weekend. So it's just how you've handled it, I guess. Anyway, on to Bournemouth then. Just fantastic form, haven't they? They've been on fantastic form.
Playing good football as well.
Apart from what I perceive to be a rather unlucky loss against Spurs, they've been brilliant otherwise. So
I was there, front row. It was quite. Did you see the weather? Honestly, it was like 4 seasons. It started off sunny and a beautiful day in London, and then got very, very dark very, very quickly. And my dad was like, "We're going to get wet here," and I was like, "I think we might." And then heavens opened. There was hail, there was wind, there was rain.
Some stadium though, eh?
Everything. Oh my god! And as much as I want to take the piss and like joke about it, incredible.
Yeah.
Just what an arena! And just really well. Apart from it's a long way from many tube stations.
Yeah.
It is super impressive, and I love. We were right opposite the big south stand that they've got. That I think we looked holds 18,000 fans.
Wow.
And my son Ethan was with us, who's 10, and me and my dad were explaining to him like how many people are just in that section.
That's the maximum capacity of Loftus Road, mate. In one stand.
That's exactly what I was explaining to him. Like, in one stand, that is bigger than Bournemouth's entire stadium. His face kind of like dropped when you have that moment of realization that that's how big that is. You kind of go, wow, this is something special. The noise was special. I don't think they played particularly well, as Josh referenced. I think Spurs were relatively lucky. I think Bournemouth looked a little more shaky than they probably did against other teams over the last couple of games. But I think that was mainly because Bournemouth let the foot off the brakes a little bit. They didn't. It's not been so precious to get those points. They're able to go at Spurs.
Yeah,
and I certainly noticed that when Son was kind of like bearing directly towards me. I'm thinking, how fucking quick is he? And he's just running into space. And
I mean, just to put it this way, Bournemouth had 24 shots. They had twice as many shots on goal as Spurs did.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 less on target, but I said this to a couple of Spurs fans in our group. I thought Bournemouth for 60 minutes of that game were comfortably the best team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they stood up to them.
And then just in moments on the counter.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Spurs were brilliant. It was clinical. They were really clinical. Something which essentially Bournemouth weren't, But
which something you're not quite used to saying especially when it comes to Solanke. He has been so clinical over the last couple of weeks. That hat trick at Forest was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I see he's up for nomination for Player of the Month, and
he should be.
I don't think he'll ever get it because of the voting capacity of other teams, but he's definitely in for a shout and deserves a mention.
Yeah.
He's been.
That's the thing about Iriola getting Manager of the Month, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, both deserve a mention for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you think of his December, a 2-2 draw against Villa, then
which they should have won,
Palace,
by the way.
Yeah, a win against Palace, a win against Man United, a win against Forest, a win against Fulham, and then a loss against Spurs away, which isn't a disaster, is it? Really?
Not the other result.
And again, a really good performance.
So, Yeah, they've been flying. I'm thrilled. I'm honestly thrilled. And Solanke's hat-trick, 2 fantastic headers against Forest.
Yeah.
It was nice
proper
for him
corners as well,
so.
wasn't it? Matt Turner's having a rough old time at Forest, bless him. How do you think United are getting on, Josh? What's going on there? I saw Casemiro and Martinez back in training today, I think I heard on the radio.
Well, Martinez will be a definite boost, but they're still playing 6 or 7 different back lines every 8 or 9 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
They've got, so it's just I just think it's just the consistency. It's funny because they played so well against Chelsea, for example. This was, I mean, when was that? That was back in, I'm just trying to think when that was now.
They had a really good November, didn't they? November into December, they would do it.
He won Manager of the Month, didn't he?
Yeah, and then they would. Oh yeah, that was going to say. So that was back in the 6th of December. So they had a really good game against Chelsea, then terrible against Bournemouth. Then at Anfield were actually pretty good, despite the fact they offered nothing. They did what they meant to doing. Then at West Ham they lose 2-0 and they were terrible. Then they have a fantastic second half against Aston Villa to win 3-2.
That first half was dreadful though, wasn't it? What contrast in halves.
Yeah, and then they lose 2-1 against Forest. And it's like they seem to win and then lose. They seem to have one good and then one bad and then one good and then one bad.
Did you watch the game against Villa live?
Yes, I did.
Did you see Patrice Evra predict it perfectly at half time?
Yeah. He said he wouldn't be surprised they won 3-2 because they actually...
And even said if they focus more on the set pieces, which is where I think 2 of your goals came from.
Yeah, exactly.
You get back in the game and he'll come back and win it 3-2. Like, fair play. Yeah. That was
it's funny because actually I think what you're saying is, and you were saying about how they were terrible, they were actually okay in the first half. They just let 2 poor goals in. They were actually okay. They were decent. They were playing well. And in the second half, they just played slightly better and just pummeled Villa, basically. Anyway, I don't really, again, like you, I don't want to talk about Man United forever. I think it's on and off, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the season. People talk about Ten Hag and his speculation because now Man United have got new owners, new part owners. I don't think he's going anywhere, at least until the end of the season. He won't move. I can't see them doing major business in the window apart from getting rid of Jadon Sancho. It sounds to me like they're actually going to have a proper sporting director in place, or a director of football, or a couple.
That's good.
And that now that
it's
Sir Jim
good
Ratcliffe and his team are in control of football operations, which is a good thing because obviously the Glazers have never done that for years and they don't care about it. So I'm optimistic, let's put it that way. But as a realistic fan, I have to expect that they're not going to be. They might not make top 4. That's just how it is. That's just where they are as a team.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to suffer still for another maybe season and a half before the changes that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to be able to make, and they can actually recruit properly and not just whatever Ten Hag says.
Yeah.
Under some proper sporting directors and a good structure. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be like this for years. I mean, as I've already said before, they're never going to match the expectation of the fans anyway, because you can't match 30 years of continued success. Dominance. So, the fan base will forever be a problem, but it's disappointed. Yeah,
so they win a
quad. It's still.
Talking of disappointments, Ben, QPR, talk to me. What's going on?
Oh, mate, do you know what? We actually were all right. We actually had some half decent results, and we got a point away at Portman Road, which was a fair shout because Ipswich are towards the top of the league and going really well, and we got a point there. But I don't know what's going on. We've lost a couple of our main players to injury. We're just not getting the rub of the green at the moment. It started to look good, and I was getting confident about the way that we were playing, the style of which we were playing. But we don't really have a striker, to be fair. The young lad Armstrong, he seems to have gone off a little bit, and Lyndon Dykes can't hit the back of the net at the moment. And like I said, our 2 flair players, Willock and Chair, are now both injured.
Oh dear.
So it's a bit.
I see that December started well, so you beat Preston away 2-0,
Yeah.
and you beat Hull at home 2-0,
Yeah.
and then you've not won since.
No, and I thought this is it. This is the start of it.
Cracked it.
We've got a couple of draws. We were unlucky against Southampton. I think we were unlucky against Millwall as well, to be fair.
Saints was a late one, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it was. I think it was only 1-0, wasn't it? We lost 1-0, I think, and it was a late goal, and it was. I think it was unlucky. But that's the difference, those 1-0 wins when it's not going your way and you can still grab a win. That's a sign of a professional football team that's doing the job. The teams that can do that. We're conceding too many late goals, and we're just, it's just, I don't know. I was hopeful, so I am still hopeful. I think he's the right guy for the job. I just think we've got a shit squad of players. Sadly, I don't think they're the same group of players we've had for the last three or four managers. So it's not like we've brought a load of people in. We haven't afforded anyone, but we haven't brought loads of players in. Any players that have come in have all been freebies from either sort of lower league clubs or so
it's the podcast derby on Saturday as well, isn't it?
It is
QPR Bournemouth on Saturday.
Well, I'm fully expecting absolutely nothing.
Bournemouth notoriously are awful in the cup, though. They'll make too many changes. We'll get some players that haven't played much. You get players like Marcondes that hasn't played much. He'll suddenly be in the starting lineup. I could see QPR nicking it. I'm just looking at the odds as well. 11-2. I fancy a fiver on.
You haven't seen
QPR.
us play.
Well, do you know what?
The squad is a bit too good, let's be honest, because they can rotate, and they've still got a really good team now.
Yeah.
So.
We'll see. You got
do you know what?
Begovic in goal and captain as well, haven't you? He's obviously ex-Bournemouth. He'll have a game of his life.
Yeah, could well do. And then, do you know what? I think if Swenson plays a few of the youngsters, we've got some really good talent coming through the youth kind of development. So there's some good young players that we've got in the squad, and if he chooses to play some of those, they might see that as an opportunity to go out and do something.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
I could be hopeful. I mean, for me, the focus has got to be staying in the league. We've got to stay in the Championship. We go down to League One, and that's, you might as well say goodbye to the next 7-8 seasons, really. So I'm not fussed if we don't do anything on Saturday, but it would be quite nice to see some youngsters get the run out and see if they can do something against what will probably be certainly a B or C string Bournemouth side, I would imagine.
Yeah. I tell you what, if it wasn't my son's birthday on Saturday, I would have gone.
Hey, I would definitely have gone, but I'm away in Birmingham. I'm up in Birmingham for the weekend, so
yeah. Actually, the one thing I will say, by the way, is quickly, you say about B or C string, because of their actual schedule, I'm not sure they will need to rotate too much.
You reckon?
Because the 6th, and then the next time they play is.
So you're telling me we're going to face a first team Bournemouth squad?
Probably.
Brilliant.
Probably.
That's going to be a
It
cricket
does always
score.
blow my mind when they make changes to if you're a losing team and you can't get a result, and suddenly they say for instance Bournemouth just lost 4 on a bounce, and you're playing QPR and they make loads of changes. What you'd actually want them to do is go, the same team that started last week is starting again.
Yeah.
Now go and prove to me that you deserve to be in the team.
Yeah.
But that never happens, does it? They always do it. It always seems to go the other way.
No, I don't. There must be something to do with contracts and about what games you're likely to play in. It must be about appearances as well.
That's exactly it. There's also going to be players that are in the manager's ear going, I've not played.
Yeah.
So you've got like players like Mark Travers, I think, who's come back from loan from Stoke, will definitely play. Kirkes is injured, Lloyd Kelly's injured, so you're not going to get much change out of the defence. I think the defence is probably going to be the strongest it can be.
Well, that's what's his name. Senesi's not going to play. Is he going to play? Is he banned?
Does that ban carry over to FA Cup or not?
Maybe
Josh, you'll
he'll
know
play
this.
in the FA Cup.
I'm not 100% certain, actually. I should know.
Yeah.
I think it does, but.
And you get players like Joe Rothwell that can't really get in the team. I'm hoping Alex Scott will get a run out. He was brilliant against Spurs, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll certainly see. There is one thing that's worth mentioning as well. I think, I'm trying to remember the lad's name now. Hamed Traore has been in hospital with malaria.
Oh, bloody hell.
Areola announced, didn't he, Josh? I think it was just before Christmas. I think he announced he'd been in hospital and very poorly with it, and probably won't see him for some time. That's awful, isn't it?
Well, once you've got malaria, you don't get rid of it. You just have to manage it.
You learn to manage it, yeah. So, yeah, that's one thing worth mentioning. Is there anything else, chaps? Is there anything else on the agenda, Josh, you want to talk about?
Well, I was just going to say, as its transfer market is open, have you heard any transfer rumours, potentially? We'll just run through some things that I think I've heard. I mean,
Bobby Firmino to Fulham, I heard today.
I did see that, yeah. I saw that mentioned.
I
don't know how much...
I guess.
How much truth there is in it.
I mean, there's always a lot of huge rumour at this time of year, just massive speculation. A lot of it probably done by agents rather than the players themselves or the clubs.
Sancho's going back to Dortmund, isn't he?
Well, that one does seem like it will happen. Not surprised. He just needs to go, basically. I mean, he obviously doesn't want to play for Man United. That's fine. He doesn't want to play for under Ten Hag anyway.
I think it's mutual, isn't it? They don't want him.
I find it so bizarre.
Yeah. I don't understand. So from all I hear and understand is that he simply had to apologise properly for his behaviour and try and make amends, and he would be back in the team, especially when Man United actually needed a winger, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, he would have just walked in again. So, and it's not like he's a bad player.
I would take him at
I
Arsenal.
don't understand his personal pride, I guess, or he just feels like, I can manufacture a way out. I mean, it is well documented his tardiness for training and his professionalism or lack thereof.
Just well documented. Fortnite for 350 grand a week at the moment.
But interestingly, though, is that why he's not been? Is that one of the reasons why he kind of dropped out the England setup? Because
maybe.
If he's got a bit of an attitude problem, and I know full well that Southgate they don't stand for any of that.
Suffer fools, does he?
No. I don't know any of that stuff, and they're out, no questions. So if he has got a bit of an attitude problem, and it sounds like he probably has, if it's happened for club and country, that's going to stick with him. And sadly, it could be the demise of him if he doesn't sort himself out.
Well, I think what he needs is
strange.
Game time again, doesn't he? He needs to get back to Dortmund, get his head down where the press aren't on him like they are here, and go and recapture that incredible form he had there.
And then someone else will pay 100 million for him in.
Yeah, but will they though?
3 or 4 years time.
No doubt.
Yeah, but will they though? Because he was tipped at one point to be the next big thing, but it's never materialised. And if that's because of his attitude, I mean, look at people. Same principle behind people like Jesse Lingard. He's another one.
Dele Alli as well. I mean, he had his own issues, but different issues. But
I'm not surprised it happens to the young players that come through, and that's why we constantly say like players coming through, like like Bellingham. We just hope he keeps his feet on the ground and hope he doesn't get this kind of attitude problem because he is such a talent, and we've seen so many players before him fall who have been tipped to be such big players. Ross Barkley's another one. I mean, fair play to him. He's found a bit of form at Luton.
Yeah.
But another one who was tipped to be big and didn't really do it at Chelsea for whatever reason, and that was down to attitude, I believe. Maybe when he matures a little bit more and gets his feet back on the ground and a bit of reality hits, maybe he'll find some, find his way again. But it is a wonder.
Yeah, strange one. Anyway, so he'll probably go.
Who else you got, Josh?
Well, people were like Ivan Toney and Dom Solanke for Arsenal, potential Arsenal targets, are in the news a lot.
Yeah,
obviously, Ivan Toney's now back to be able. He's available for the next Prem game, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, he's still at Brentford.
Yeah, he can't play in the cup game, though, can he?
Yes, he's. I honestly
two questions
don't know.
at once there.
Yeah, so he can't. I think he's next for the next Prem game is when he's back, so the 20th of Jan, something like that. What was your question, Ben? He is a Brentford player, I suspect he'll stay a Brentford player. I don't think he's moving because the cost is just insane. Although they have dealt with him, they haven't had him at all this season, so it's not like they're losing. I mean, I guess they're losing out because they're expecting him to be back, but I guess they're not. It's not quite the same as if he'd been banging in goals for them all season, and that's what they're doing so well. And then he's leaving. It's they've dealt with, but they are down at the bottom of the league, aren't they, Brentford? So
they're struggling without him. Definitely.
They need that.
And they've lost.
And they've got a couple on international duty now.
Wisser and Mbeumo's injured, isn't he?
Mbeumo's injured, and Wiss is on international duty. But either way, both of them would be gone at this time of year anyway.
Yeah.
I think they need him. Plus, 100 million is pretty which is touted, isn't it? That's quite a lot of money. I mean, I know you as an Arsenal fan, you'd probably say we need that desperately, so let's pay it. But
I don't think
you wouldn't take Dom Solanke
the puzzle. I don't think Tony is the final piece of the puzzle.
I don't think he is either.
I think he's a step in the right direction, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that having a forward is the only reason why you're not scoring so many goals.
Oh.
No, I agree.
That's all. As for Dom Solanke, who's obviously, because of his form, has been in transfer rumours, I would not. I mean, if I was the Bournemouth, I wouldn't take $500 million for him at the moment, just because of his value to Bournemouth. But he won't. I don't think he's
right for Arsenal, and I think he's perfect where he is.
Mm.
Yeah, but he's been in rumoured, obviously. I know Spurs have just bought someone, haven't they?
They're going to be busy, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to be quite busy. A new central defender, I think, a new centre back.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, they've just.
I think Eric Dyer might be on the way as well, mightn't he?
Yeah.
You imagine?
I'm hearing a lot of rumours that West Ham surprisingly might get rid of quite a few of their players.
Really?
Which does surprise me. Yeah, that they might lose a couple.
Have they got a big squad though?
I don't know. That's the thing. It doesn't feel like it. Maybe because David Moyes plays the same 11 all the time. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like they've got a huge squad. I think it's just financial stuff. I think they're just capitalising.
Yeah.
I don't know. At the moment, the rumour mill hasn't been huge. Calvin Phillips, too.
He's been priced out of the move, isn't he? That's his problem.
Is it?
Yeah, the City want too much for him. They want like $5 million loan fee for him.
Why do they do that? They bring a player in, don't use him, and then refuse to either loan him out or sell him. Why do they do that?
I think their problem is that he cost them a lot of money, and he's on hefty wages. So
I think
there's a financial fair play issue that they've got to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm next to the other 117.
Yeah, just chuck it on the pile. We might as well. In for a penny, in for £500 million.
But I feel for him, because he's a quality player, and they obviously saw something in him to buy him in the first place. And he's clearly a part of Southgate's plans for England. So it must be so difficult for him knowing that he wants to go to the Euros, and he could be playing. Yeah. He should be playing first team football for any other club. If he would be in the first.
He's got to
team.
go to Newcastle, isn't he?
I would if he gets to Newcastle and play, if he gets to Newcastle and he plays, he wouldn't. There's no way he wouldn't be in England's team. In fact, I would suspect if he plays regularly between now and the end of the season, he'd be in the starting 11.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he'll play well there as well. I think you've got that.
Suits his style of play,
Lewis Miley or whatever his name is at Newcastle. This youngster. I mean, fair play to him. He's been brilliant, but he's not ready to be chucked in, week out Premier League, is he? You need somebody like Calvin Phillips around you to do that, and that's the type of player they need to help them progress. So, yeah, I think I hope for him he goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's not
Timo
been fever
Werner
pitch
for United.
Yeah, I mean, if they get rid of Sancho, they need someone in. Anthony isn't doing it. I don't know if he'd play on the right. I think the problem is I actually have noted, and I've actually been quite happy with this, that Ten Hag hasn't played Rashford 90 minutes every game for the last few, and he's been taking him out. And I know Ante was injured, but he hasn't played him a little bit either. And it's good to see people like Garnacho getting 90 minutes every game because he actually deserves to. So Mainu, young lad, we were talking about young lads like Lewis Miley.
He's looking good.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if Manu I don't mind Timo Werner, to be honest. I think he's an all right player. Just didn't do so well at Chelsea, did he? So
yeah,
an odd one maybe, but loans are the only thing they're going to be able to do.
Well, we'd gladly take a loan striker from someone. Anyone offloading anyone, send them our way. We could do with it for free.
Yeah, do you want Martial?
He'll do. Martial? I'd have him next week. I hear Remy's
send him
available.
Back the week after.
He'll be injured.
Charlie Austin, he's got to be available. Can we get him back? He's at Swindon, isn't he?
Oh, he's loving life. Yeah.
Come on, Chaz, come back just for 6 weeks or so. That would do.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Josh?
I haven't got anything else specific to talk about. I mean, about football wise, at least. excluding fantasy football, of course. I've seen that relegated teams have been picking up points over the relegated teams. Oh my god, to potentially to be relegated to, you know what I meant. You know, the Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United picking up points over the Christmas period to make it slightly closer at the bottom. Everton seem to be being pulled back down after a good run of form. So, interesting. And Wolves are flying.
Oh wow,
mate! They're
playing. About Gary O'Neill.
I'm so happy it's worked out for him, and obviously for Bournemouth. I think if you couldn't ask for it to be better, I think Gary O'Neill's gone away and done really well, and turned the Boo Boys around big time. Yeah. And Iraola's proven a lot of people, including myself, wrong that he's doing a great job too. I think it works perfectly for both.
Yeah. Yeah, good luck to him.
They also heard a rumour, a Newcastle, so Eddie Howe's job, and how he's under pressure, which is ridiculous on all levels. I think we'll have to speak to our resident Newcastle fan in Johnny, but to get his opinion. But I think I've said this earlier in the year. He seems to go a few games of like poor form. And then all of a sudden, people are talking about how they need an elite manager in to replace him. I'm like, just
the media can't wait for him to fuck up. Really, I think he's in the crosshairs all the time with the media, and not for the right reasons either. Just because they love the story of it. I think if he was an arsehole, or if he came across as an arsehole, as much as I think Ten Hag does, I think it's easier to see why. But I just think they're desperate for him to fail.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
What I find is, and I'm not sure if it's just a case of new owners and that brings new fans in particular, but the fan base seems to have. I don't think it will be the case for those diehard Newcastle fans who've been there forever. I think it's more a case of some of the slightly newer fans who are impatient, and it seems to just creep into the general feeling around Eddie Howe's position that fans seem to push this. We need an elite manager. He's lost a couple of games. He's got to go, which is a terrible thing to be. You know,
it's bonkers.
I just and I think
they've been decimated by injuries as well, though. So I mean, Christ, you know, the whole back line was out at one point. Or first choice back line.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly. So I just think that's another narrative that gets to me quite a bit.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? It's
obviously
like
there's a bias there because I like
every time you see him interviewed, he's like, do you know what? He's like, yeah, whatever. I think he's so he knows his job. He knows what he's there to do, and that's what he does. He doesn't seem to pay any mind to what other people are saying, and fair play to him. Hats off to him. I think he's a great manager, and I think he will be a future England manager without a doubt. So
yeah, absolutely.
I do hope so.
I think the thing about I find is that imagine tomorrow he gets sacked. Yeah, I think he could go almost to any team.
Yeah, I think of.
Right. I mean, there's only obviously a couple of teams in the top of the Premier League won't take him, obviously, because they've got people in place forever. But I think he could go most places.
Yeah,
I think you could see a team get rid of someone who's actually quite decent where they probably shouldn't, just to replace them. Man United, for example. I can see Sir Jim Ratcliffe going, "Nah, sorry, Eric Ten Hag, we're getting him in." So things like that, So anyway, if you don't mind, lads, we can go to some fantasy football unless you've got anything else to cover.
Yeah, we need some guidance.
Yeah, from our
league leader.
Mega part of. Oh right, yeah, I actually did go to the top of the league,
top of the league
this last week. A bit of luck, really, and a bit of forward thinking, I guess. Both, really, has got me there. So the Christmas period obviously is come and gone. And there's a small break now, as we said, until the next Premier League game week, so around the 20th. So we've got some time. But there's still loads of points to be had and time for the rest of the season. So I wouldn't dwell too much on your ranking in the league if you're unhappy with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of time to make up, and especially as we'll get into the season where things change quite quickly. Yeah. So FA Cup season, we're expected to hear some teams to get double and blank game weeks, etc., announced as they progress through FA Cup. So I would expect to hear Man City and Liverpool getting a blank and then a double game week within a couple of weeks of each other sometime in the next couple of months.
Right.
Points galore.
So these things, exactly. These things come along and points are And it also means the use of some chips if you've got them. So bench boost and your second wild card and
you still got all your chips?
Things. Yeah, I've got all except, I used the first wild card obviously because of now that's gone now.
Yeah.
You can't use it if you didn't. But so I've got all the chips still.
Me too.
Yeah. I've used bench boost and I think that was quite an early use of, but other than that I'm holding out for a double game week for the triple.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's rumours going around that Man City will get a double in game week 25, which means in which the player will play their Brentford game in that week.
Right.
I'm just trying to find it. It'll be Chelsea, will it, as well? There you go. So that's not too bad a time. It might be that that's the best time to triple captain Haaland, for example, if you were going to do it. They're not two fantastic games, but that still might be the best time. Well, the rumour is wait till it's confirmed, and I'll mention on here as soon as it is, so there won't be.
You won't want too many Brentford players if that is the case, because they'll be playing Liverpool and Man City in that week, that game week.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know, but you just have to think of it this way. I always think of it. Ivan Toney might not be a bad shout though.
Yeah, no,
as an example, because it's not. They might be two bad games, and you might not expect anything from them. But assuming you've got someone like Ivan Toney who will probably play all 90 minutes in both games, you get double the appearance points.
That's true.
But you also get a chance of actual scoring points, and you get, and this is where people seem to forget, it's double chance at bonus points as well.
Yeah.
So if he does get a return on one of them, you get bonus, or so there's just that kind of tripling effect. It's not just the appearance and not just the potential of scoring, but it's also the bonus if they do score as well.
Yeah, fair play.
So that's where doubles are quite powerful, even in bad game weeks. So that's quite an interesting one to look out for. The main thing, though, right now is AFCON and Asia Cup.
Yeah.
So they're the biggest talking points. Players like Salah and Son are unavailable now until when their teams are knocked out of their cups. So anyway, it did make me laugh that West Ham's Kudus has been brought in by 50k managers this week, despite the fact that he's going on international duty. So there's obviously a few people in the community who don't realise that, or forget some players might go on AFCON or Asia Cup.
Yeah,
that's a big number, isn't it?
That is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider 9 million managers, it's not that many, but it's just not all of them are going to be active. So the fact that 50k people brought him in who are active is quite strange on some level.
Yeah.
So I would just say double check whoever you're looking at isn't about to leave for
Has it got them
international
listed
duty.
on there?
Most of them are. Yeah, so most of them are flagged. So you'll be able to see a red flag next to the name and it will say international duty.
Right. Yeah.
So be able to see. So like Salah and Son, as we mentioned, they are both flagged red for international duty.
They're both sat on my bench. I'm going to keep them on the bench until they become available. I'm not selling.
Well, let me just ask the question, right? Because they're out, could possibly be out to miss like 5, 6. Is it 6 games max? Something like that, isn't it?
I thought it was 4 to 6.
Okay, so
yeah,
I was thinking about either wildcarding or selling them. But if I sell them, I'm going to lose. I think it's 0.7 of a million by selling both of them because their values have gone up
and then
so
getting
much.
them back, yeah,
and then I won't be able to afford to buy them back.
Yeah, so this is where we'll talk about navigation of it. So just as a quick list, Salah, Son, Mitoma, Hwang, Kudus, Jackson, and Onana are probably the biggest owned players who will need to be sold or somehow manoeuvred.
Yeah.
As there's a break, there is actually no rush to get rid of them.
No.
I will note that in terms of losing money, so this is where you'll notice that their price will come down.
Yeah,
because people will sell them. If it's not this week, it'll be next week and the week after, etc. So, hypothetically, the worst case scenario is you sell Salah right now, Egypt do terribly, and he comes back in 2 weeks' time, and then you're like, oh, I'm desperate to get him back in, and you don't have the money, because you've got Haaland back in or whatever it is, and then okay, you'll have to think about using a wild card or something. But what I would say as a rule of thumb is because everyone's dealing with the same issue, i.e., quite a lot of people have got Salah and Son, etc. I wouldn't jump to use your wild card. I would consider just taking hits, so -4s, -8s.
Okay.
I wouldn't be going more than that. Or, as you were saying, Jack, benching one of them or benching both of them and then dealing with them over a couple of weeks rather than just one, to try and refresh your team. I personally am going to sell both of them.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as possible in terms of Salah and Son.
Have you got full value in them though? Have you got? Did you buy them high?
So I bought. For example, Son went down again last night, so he's currently at 9.8 million.
Yeah.
But I got him for 9.5, so I'll lose 0.3 on him, and on Salah, I will lose 0.3 as well, I believe. So he's 12.9 to sell, and he's 13.2 to buy.
So that's 0.6.
So as you said, I'll lose 0.6.
Yeah. That's a lot.
I would just think, if you can maneuver it in some way, try and make sure you have the money remaining, so about $1 million-ish spare to get them back. But it's not the end of the world because that will come down, so it'll probably be closer to 0.4 total between both, or 0.3.
Right.
So by the time you need to get them back, because their price will go down. If you're really desperate about money, sell them as soon as possible while they sell high, just in case they lose some value in the coming days. But generally speaking, they're going to have to drop twice for you to lose any more money on them. So before the next deadline, so I wouldn't worry. I would in terms of people you would get in to replace, because this is where people are a bit uncertain. I do have kind of a watch list as such of people that I would look at. In terms of midfield, then, to cover Salah and Son, Richarlison for Spurs.
Yeah,
he's probably the easy one to go to from Son. Bowen if you don't have Bowen. Saka if you don't have Saka. Jota.
Yeah.
For Liverpool,
yeah,
potentially. He's probably the only one I trust in the front there to have, and he's just come back from injury. Phil Foden maybe. But his minutes may get reduced because now De Bruyne is back. Yeah. So De Bruyne is available, and Doku looks like he's back as well. And if you want to save some money, people like Garnacho at Man United.
He's cheap, Palmer, isn't he?
Garnacho's like 4.8.
Yeah, that's really cheap.
So he's really cheap. Garnacho at Man United, Palmer at Chelsea, Gordon, but only in a couple of weeks when they've not played Man City or wherever they're playing next.
Yeah.
So people like that to save some money. So I am considering getting rid of Salah for like someone as cheap as Garnacho.
Right.
Getting rid of Son for someone like Richarlison, who I want to get in.
Yeah.
And then I'll just avoid Saka for now, as an example, and then get rid of Archer up front and get Haaland back in, because it seems like he's going to be back fit.
Right.
And then that would mean I'd be moving from 3-5-2 to 3-4-3, and then I'd be rotating Solanke or Garnacho or Palmer based on the fixture moving forward.
Yeah.
And that would give me plenty of money to consider getting.
But then you'd have to sell Haaland
back
to get Salah and Son back in.
Yeah, well, we'll think about that down the line. I'm not worried about that right now because we don't know how long he's going to be. If it's going to be 4 weeks or something, then I've got time to consider it. And things change, people get injured, etc.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I think
I'm not too worried
for now.
Yeah,
wait and see.
I'm probably going to take a -4 or even a -8 this week. So just to sort it out.
When's the next deadline? It's the 13th, and it's not for another week.
Yeah. So the fixtures are spread over like 2 weeks, aren't they?
Are they?
Yes. Yeah.
So you've got
I thought it was around the
20th, 21st, 22nd.
So you've got Saturday the 13th, Sunday the 14th, Monday the 15th, and then it then goes again Saturday the 20th, 21st, and Monday the 22nd. So it's one game week spread over like
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 10 days, yeah. More than that, yeah.
Interesting.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I'll run you through a quick list of people then to think of. So if you really need a goalkeeper, if you absolutely must, as in you need one because your goalkeepers are terrible or they're not playing, Areola or Leno are the two I would look at.
Yeah.
I generally don't like spending a lot of money on goalkeepers. So Ederson, who lets in every single goal, every single first shot on target, he seems to let in for Man City. So, people like that I just avoid. Defense, Trent is like, for me, he's not a must-have, but he's just so good. And Liverpool playing so well. You can almost forget the clean sheets because he's almost always
he picks up bonuses
assisting or scoring. Yeah, or bonuses anyway. Estupinian, now he's back fit, and Brighton have some really good fixtures. He's like my number one target. Then Pedro Porro, if you don't have him. Kyle Walker, potentially for Man City, if you're interested. Pau Torres, or someone of that nature for Aston Villa. And then in a couple of weeks' time, someone like Botman or Cher or Trippier. For Newcastle. In midfield, as I said, mentioned Richarlison, Bowen, Saka, Jota, Foden, De Bruyne. I think I've mentioned all them already. And in the forward, Haaland, if you don't have him, is, especially if you already have Salah, is probably the easiest transfer you can make. In that you sell Salah to someone cheaper, you get Haaland in for your third forward, etc. Like, use 2, even if it costs you a -4 or a -8 even, because for me that's worth it. Essentially, Haaland's probably the best person to get in, I would say. Then people like Watkins, Solanke, João Pedro, now that Mitoma's on international duty, and Ivan Toney is back now, but I would just wait maybe to see on him.
See what happens.
Yeah.
What about De Bruyne? De Bruyne's a bit of a punt, isn't he? He's been out for so long. Is he going to hit the ground?
They'll ease him in, won't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also he's just expensive from a fantasy perspective. I would rather have Foden than De Bruyne and take the risk.
Yeah.
At the minute, as an example. So, but yeah, he's not a bad shout. Yeah, just have to give him a couple of weeks, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing you want is make a run out and get crocked again first time back. Yeah, that's happened to him before, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's it for fantasy. I would just say, think about dealing with it. Don't feel like you need to wait. Don't feel like you need to worry about losing a couple of like -4, -8s to sort it. I think it's worthwhile capitalising on the points gain now than waiting.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, fair point.
Fair point. Thank you for your insight into that, mate. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say, especially as you're top of the league now, and which is no mean feat because I am in the top 5 of our league. It's quite tight. It's only 40 points between you and Steve in 6th at the moment, so it's quite tight. But I'm first or second in most of my other leagues, so the fact that I'm 5th in the Bournemouth league suggests that it's pretty high scoring points.
It is, definitely.
Yeah, your overall rank gives you a good idea of how well you're doing, generally. Mine is 34,000.
Hey, that's good, mate.
At the moment.
I don't know where mine is. Where did you find it? Oh, England. 71,000 I am. Overall.
Well, that's in the overall rank.
Overall, 209,000.
Yeah, so that's not bad.
It's not bad out of a million.
No, not bad. Yeah, so, yeah, we got a strong league.
Yeah, very strong. Damn it. But it's all close. I like it. I like how close it is.
Definitely. Right. I think that rounds us off for the first one of the year. It's been great. Good to catch up, and thank you very much for everybody that's been involved. Did mean to say it at the beginning, but obviously if you've stumbled across this for the first time, thank you very much for lending us your ears. If listening to it for the first, second, or 50th time, thank you very much as well. Just make sure you are you're sharing it and
share away.
Share away and make sure you're telling all your friends. And also, if you are interested, local to Bournemouth, fancy losing a bit of weight and kicking a ball around some other fatties around a pitch, get involved. Man v Fat Bournemouth. All you got to do is Google it and sign up. There are spaces ready to go. We are a lovely bunch of guys, very welcoming and ready to welcome you into our Fat Lad community.
Absolutely. Well said, mate.
Indeed. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Lovely to be back.
Yes, and I'll see you chaps tomorrow night.
Yes. Blues v Purple, sunshine. We'll have a good game tomorrow night.
Get up the Purples.
Go, Super Blues.
Cheerio.
All right, boys. Take it easy. Bye.
Cheers, lads. Bye.